Alright, let's go. What's going on, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. Yes, I hope you lot are all doing well, friends. I really do hope that difficult times ahoy for Chelsea Football Club. Turbulent times indeed. Injuries, positive tests, players becoming absent, refereeing decisions going against Chelsea, although, full disclosure, I am not blaming poor officiating decisions for Chelsea not beating Brighton due to them dominating Chelsea in almost all the statistics. It is what it is. I'll only moan about refereeing decisions if it really changed the tide of a game that was going one way. Anyway, welcome back to Chelsea News. There's lots to talk about today. Loads of course, the January transfer window, easy for me to say, opens in a day or two. And Chelsea are in big, dire need of reinforcements. So we're going to get into that a little bit. There's lots to update you on in terms of players as well. So get comfortable, feel cleansed. We'll move on from yesterday's result and consider subbing if you're new. Make sure the bell notifications icon switched on if you do sub. And if you are already subscribed, make sure all notifications are turned on. Please do drop a like to support that thing, friends and family. Cool. So, where do we start? Let's start off with Reece James and Andreas Christensen. Both, of course, came off injured yesterday at home at Stamford Bridge against Brighton. Andreas Christensen felt a ping in his back. It's been reported by Dominic Fifield of The Athletic. A lower back injury earlier in the first half, but he saw his way to half-time, presumably fueled by adrenaline. Now, perhaps not so serious, maybe precautionary. Of course, they had the ability to bring on Trevor Chalobah, so maybe they thought, we're not risking any more injuries, let's just make this move. Reece James, more worrying. It's not looking good at all. It's being speculated that Reece James has ripped his hamstring, which can leave you out for months. Worst case scenario, the rest of the season. Which would mean, again, I'm not reporting that this is news. It's important to disclaim that. I'm not saying Reece James out for the season. He could be out for maybe just a few weeks, which obviously would still be really, really bad. Especially as we were turning to him to be a left wing-back cover, and he's the first choice right wing-back. Do the math of where that leaves us. If he's out for the rest of the season, Ben Chilwell and Reece James being out for the season is nothing short of catastrophic. We'll talk about the transfer window and transfers in just a moment. But I waited till this morning to watch Thomas Tuchel's post-match presser, because I usually watch it the same evening, like before I go to bed or whatever. But I didn't want to watch it because I knew he'd be fuming, and he was absolutely fuming. Chelsea have played, I think, the most games in December, and Chelsea are one of the few teams that haven't had any games off, that haven't been allowed to take a game off, despite having loads of injuries and loads of positive tests and players being absent. So they've been really dragged through the ringer here. And of course, when you don't win a game that you're leading up until stoppage time, that obviously is going to compound that negative emotion and feelings, and is going to erupt in a very angry and negative post-match press conference. And that's exactly what we experienced from Thomas Tuchel yesterday. He's very upset. I think he's probably conceded the fact Chelsea are out of the title race now. A lot of us perhaps did prior to that, but it's looking bad. When Reece James is out, we're just looking like one of our players of the season, as well as Ben Chilwell. Both of them, really. We were like, remember like a few months ago or a couple of months ago, Chelsea were all about the wingbacks. They were like, they could win the Premier League because of their like inverted wing-back system where Reece James and Ben Chilwell are scoring so many goals and assisting, and the opposition teams don't know how to deal with them. Well, now both are seriously injured, and Chelsea are in a difficult position. And also, before I get onto because I want to talk about wing-backs and transfers and news and stuff, in terms of absentees, to compound a bit more negative news, I'm sorry, but Timo Werner, also really struggling to get back, wasn't listed in the squad, and Thomas Tuchel once posed a question about this He said it's not looking good. He's struggling to come back from a positive test. He's been unwell. And, when he asked about how he's doing following the illness, he said, it's not good. It's not good. He's not in training. And then he said, yes, of course, when he was posed the question of whether it was to do with illness or whatever. And to be honest, we could probably deal with Timo Werner right now. I know we've got a lot of attackers, and Ziyech was on the bench, and Havertz was on the bench, but I think the biggest critique and concern of Thomas Tuchel is not that these players aren't available or that they're back and named in the squad, is that none of them are ready. And the margins at this level, at top, not just Premier League, but the top of the Premier League, the margins for being fit to perform are so important. And like if you're Chelsea looked absolutely knackered against Brighton. Brighton are a high-octane pressing team. They play very well under a good coach, under Graham Potter. And Chelsea just didn't have the legs. They didn't have the legs, and the players that weren't on the pitch would presumably had even less energy than the ones on the pitch. So Chelsea are in a big trouble there. So what do we do? Well, fortunately... That's a positive word, isn't it? Fortunately, we're in a position where the transfer window is about to open, and transfers can be fun and exciting anyway at the best of times. It's something new, and we like that, don't we? It gives us a dopamine hit, something stimulating and different to think about, other than the poor results. New blood that can freshen up the team and change the dynamic and offer additional firepower. So on that. Wingbacks. If we weren't concerned before, in terms of surely they have to try and replace Ben Chilwell because he's out for the season. Surely, I mean, are they going to try and go on without him? Maybe playing as Piliqueta, Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, Alonso, and even Reece James as left wingback. All these guys theoretically can play. Or Saul, 6 players. Obviously none of it's good enough. But maybe you thought there's a small chance of can we navigate this? Can we navigate this and do that? And Ben Chilwell will come back. The January transfer window is not a good market to buy in. We'll wait till the summer, see what's happening with Alonso. Do you know what I mean? All that. Maybe part of them was thinking, we'll just see if we can do it. No. Now Reece James has got a bad hamstring injury. It's not up for negotiation. It is not. I do have respect for Pulisic for how hard he worked in the right wing back. I don't think he was perfect. He made mistakes, but so did loads of people in that team. But I respected how hard he worked and actually how he occupied the right spaces at the right times at wing back. I genuinely think that he's looked so much better at wing back than he has at false 9. So big respect to Pulisic. Of course, he's got a great engine on him, which suits that situation. But no way. For me personally, and I'm fully okay with people that are saying that the title race we're only halfway through a season. There's still a title race, If Chelsea beat City and if they beat Liverpool, I know looking at our team it seems thoroughly unlikely, but there might spark the idea of a title race again. Personally, I think it's far too far-fetched. I think City are too good. But yeah, we're gonna need to make moves in January. Not necessarily for Koundé or midfielders, certainly for wing-back cover. Because even if people come back, if Ruben comes back, if Kante, Kovacic, we've got enough midfielders. Even Saul can be considered. Even Chalobah. If everyone's fit, we've got options. We don't have options now at wing-back. So a piece of news is from yesterday. L'Equipe, reporting from French media, L'Equipe claimed that Chelsea have actually tried to recall Emerson, 27-year-old Italian-Brazilian Emerson Palmieri from Lyon. Of course, he's on loan at Lyon. The fact how it was a request, and by the way, it's a loan with an option to buy. So Chelsea were hoping he had and no disrespect to Emerson, who's been good for Chelsea at times, hoping he had a good loan spell at Lyon to be bought. We're never going to see him again. There could be a touch of that. Okay, so L'Equipe, I'm reading this from the Daily Mail, but it's cited news, isn't it? Claims the Blues already or recently tried to bring back the 27-year-old from his loan spell early, only to see that request turned down by the French outfit. So off the bat, I'm assuming that they don't have a right to recall them because maybe he's played a lot of appearances out there. The report adds Emerson is on loan with an option to buy, and and the West London outfit do not have a formal recall clause in the agreement. There you go. No formal recall clause, hence the request, and hence the request being rejected. So this article goes on to say the news will come as a blow to the Blues, who could now look to Luca Dean of Everton and Ajax's Nicola Tagliafico, of course, and they've emerged as targets. Right, well, on that, reports in Italy also claim Chelsea have made contact with Milan over the deal for Theo Hernandez, who, of course, is a very highly rated player, exciting fullback, French international, but he would cost a lot of money, reportedly nothing less than 60 million euros. If Milan are in a title race and they are a Champions League team again and, respected, and he's one of their brighter players that plays in the French national team, and it's a mid-season transfer, you can completely understand why they would not sell Theo Hernandez for cheap. And do Chelsea want to bring someone in mid-season for that amount of money? Maybe not, because, are they just going to be able to slot in? You don't know. January transfers don't always work like that. I think Giroud was a good January transfer. There is a few over the years that we've had, but they're few and far between. One that obviously seems like it makes a lot of sense now is Sergino Dest, the USA Dutch international who plays for Barcelona. Very, very attacking, sort of wingery wing-back. But the positive about Sergino Dest is he's renowned to play on both sides. So he could play right wing-back and left wing-back, which, let's be honest, is seemingly rather appropriate for Chelsea in our current struggles, having injuries at both right wing-back and left wing-back. If you can only bring in one player to cover a wing-back, you want him to, ideally, to be able to play both. Of course, Luca Dean seems like a really good option in the sense of perhaps we can get him on a 6-month loan, just so Everton aren't paying his wages for a player they don't want at the moment. 6 months loan, if you could get Digne on a 6 months loan with an option to buy, then there's nothing to stop you from actually buying maybe a right wing back as well, And then you've got, because remember Tuchel did want Hakimi to like rotate and challenge with James, so we could still buy a good right wing back, Reece James and new guy at right wing back, and then ultimately Ben Chilwell, and then sort of Alonso/Dest, but Dest could play on both, so really you've got ample cover, possibly. And bear in mind, Alonso's in his 30s now. He's 31. Chelsea might be thinking of a plan to get him back to Italy or get him back to Spain. Do you know what I mean? And we'll see what happens there. One thing is for sure: Chelsea are absolutely going to need to make moves in this transfer window now. Not just to try and that is considering perhaps the title race is gone. This is to secure top 4. You got people like Arsenal there who were the biggest spenders in the summer. They're going to apparently spend again to make sure they get into the top 4. And a lot can happen in half a season, especially when both your first choice wing-backs, which were largely the reason why you were good in the first place, are now gone. Chelsea could sink. I have faith in the manager. I actually have quite a bit of sympathy for the manager. I don't like the tone of just whinging about stuff. I mean, we are seeing the mask slip a little bit above Thomas Tuchel, and I don't disagree with him. I agree with him about poor refereeing decisions, and I agree with him about being difficult circumstances he's been put in with everything and all the absentees, but it's just the optics are becoming more and more negative, and I just don't think it helps anyone. The sort of moaning about it, do you know what I mean? Even if he's right, I don't know. I have sympathy with him, and I have faith in the coach entirely. So we need to help him. We need to buy players, and we need to make transfers in the coming days. Don't mess about. Do you know what I mean? Like literally in the coming days. Right as I speak, as you watch this, there needs to be conversations and the beginnings of negotiations with agents and clubs and indeed players. Guys, let me know what you think. Comment down below. I'm keen to hear your thoughts on this. Chelsea can move on from this negative and start developing positive. So let's think about that for a little while. Friends, enjoy the football, and I'll see you later.